Okay, what's going on, family? JV Wins and Dogon SS are back with another video on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and do you boys a big old solid. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video. We certainly appreciate it as we continue to kick that logical content. Should be a pretty
Okay.
pretty good night of interesting topics here on the channel. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off the way that we always do. And the first thing that we are going to discuss are interesting comments that were made by Mr. Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, a big time staple in the in the African American community on the entertainment front. But he recently shared his thoughts on economics when it pertains to relationships. There's been a lot of back and forth about, you know, changing dynamics of relationships in the modern day and, you know, uh, people, women making more money than men and how those dynamics play themselves out in modern relationships and so on and so forth. Tyler Perry basically is saying that, women shouldn't necessarily feel some type of way about being with a man who makes less than them. But as we always do, we won't speak for him. We will let him speak for himself. So,
You.
real quick, we'll go ahead and share this, provide some context, because this is pretty interesting stuff, in my opinion. But here,
Mm.
this is Tyler Perry speaking on women, black women in particular, but if you want to broaden it out, women in general who are successful, who make a lot of money, who are struggling in the dating pool because they want to get with a man who at least equals them, or if not outright out earns them in terms of earnings and income, and how these women should be out here making these decisions. So here is Mr. Tyler Perry and his thoughts on that.
Listen, a lot of women, especially black women, and I
Mhm.
might get in trouble for saying this, but I will. In the in our society right now,
Mhm.
black women are making a lot more money for the
Mhm.
most part than black
Yeah.
men. Right? There are a lot of black men who are successful, but for the most part, black women are making the money. So if you can find love, if that man works, you know, at whatever job and is a good man and is good to you
Mhm.
and honors the house and honors his wife and does what he can
Mhm.
because his gift may not be your gift.
Exactly.
That is okay.
Mhm.
That's not somebody who's beneath you. That's
Yeah.
somebody who came to love you at your worth,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
as long as he's secure in himself to
Mhm.
know that, yep, she makes most of the money, all I can pay is the light bill. As long as she's comfortable enough to say, I'm going to cover the mortgage and all the other stuff, you can the light bill, baby, you can take me to dinner every now and then.
Mhm.
That is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Mhm. Yeah.
But that's so hard for a lot of people to take in because that means no, no, no. I need somebody to who is they need to make 5 times more, and I got to have well, you keep
Uh-huh.
but
Keep
go
looking,
on keep your
girl.
list, baby.
Yeah.
God bless you. Hope it happens. Go on keep your list. But when you talk about just someone to love you and support you,
Yes.
I know people who have whose men can't touch what they make.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when you see them together, that love, that support, that I got you, babe, it's a
Mhm.
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's crazy. Hey, you was catching lag on yours,
that's
or just on my side?
it might be on my side. Is it still a lag there?
No, I was just saying when it was playing. It should be good now.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't notice one, but we'll see. Maybe on the back end there might be.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so that was sweet. That was sweet, I think. I guess the sentiment. But what did you think about that?
I feel like that's gonna go in one ear and out the other. Even Black Jesus himself, Tyler Perry, can't get these the women that don't feel this way to understand this message. So I don't think even he can actually get to them, which is, hey man, it's what's going on. But um, I just feel like it's the North American way. Um, ride or get rolled on, get on board or get left. Uh, you better be in a position where you're well financially dominant, amongst other forms of dominance as well. But nah, man, women have this. I won't speak for all of them, but the North American way, all right? They have this feeling of, if they're going to be air quote submissive, then the reason why they would do that is due to the fact that he's dominant in multiple categories. So whenever they step in that arena, he clearly runs it, and they feel like they can take a back seat. And one of those departments is finances. And if you're not dunking on her financially, there's probably going to be an issue somewhere down the line. So I've got more to say on this. But how do you feel about Sir Tyler Perry and his message to the black woman, or women in general, actually?
I think the words are cool, but yeah, practically speaking, I don't know how much. I don't know whether the message is receptive to most people, women in particular, given our current social climate. It's funny. We oftentimes, when we do subjects like this, we will get into a more introspective conversation about whether something is like, you know, nature versus nurture. Whether you like to use the word primal, and your logic on this is the reason why women want a guy who makes money isn't necessarily because of a social construct entirely, although it does play a role in it, but rather it is because innately, um, all the way down to sort of the chromosome subatomic level, you know, women intrinsically
Mm,
desire for a man to be able to dominate them in various areas because that's what they personally glean to be, insert adjective here, masculine, manly, whatever the case may be. And so it's a lot. If it, and I tend to
mm,
agree with you. I tend to agree with you that this is like a nature versus nurture thing, and that there are certain aspects of this that are deeper than mere social constructs, and that it does boil down to more of a actual primal instinctual type thing in nature when it comes to, animals in nature, and humans are animals. And so,
mm,
because that, if I'm following along with that logic, I kind of feel like these words sound great if we believe these things to be purely a social construct. But I don't think that they are. I think that for us, a large percentage of women, not even the unreasonable ones, even reasonable people, women
mm,
amongst them, who might say, you know, um, I don't necessarily care if my guy doesn't make as much money than me, or if I make so much more, as long as you can, hold down your end of the bargain, and you can love me and blah blah blah, and you care about me and you don't betray me or forsake the relationship, then we're all good. Even the ones who might logically be able to say that, there's still something innately in them that mostly desires guys who can dominate them financially. And so they're always going to seek that as the optimal option over a guy who cannot fulfill that. So even though I think that his words are nice and sweet and cute, there's an aspect of this that is innate and instinctual that needs to be given credence to over the idea that it's purely a social construct. If it was a social construct, I'd be right there with him all the way. But I quite frankly don't think it is. I think that there is a part of this that is nature versus nurture. And so, it sounds good. It's like, I've met women like this. I'm pretty sure you have.
mm,
It's like the women who say, I don't really care if you are not tall or not strong, or can't fight. I don't really care if you can't do any of that stuff. I'll still be with a guy if the connection is there. That's what they like to say, if the connection is there. But if you put guy who's not tall, can't fight, and isn't strong, next to guy who is tall, can fight, and is strong,
And broke,
even if the guy
broke.
who, even if the guy, even if the guy who is tall, even if the guy who is not tall, can't fight, and isn't strong, has a better connection with her, she's still going to be more attracted to the guy who's taller, can fight, and is strong. But logically, they will say the connection is all that matters, so I don't need all that other stuff. It's the same thing going on, where you might be able
Mhm.
to say these things and vocalize the sentiments, but there is a certain aspect of your primal nature that's going to kick in, and your body and your decision making is going to respond in kind. So I hear what he's saying, and it's a nice sentiment. I just don't know how practical it is, especially if you consider how wide the gap financially is. If it's not that big of a gap, then cool, maybe it's not a big deal. But if it's a sizable gap, him being able to change out a light bulb or cut the grass isn't going to stop her from wondering what another guy who makes 50K more than you can do for her, even if he can't cut grass or grab a weed whacker to save his life. So you just got to take that into account. It's not purely a social construct.
Uh, 100, man. But yeah, you can do all of that fly Superman stuff and yeah, like you said, cut grass, take out trash, wash cars, pay the bills. If you're still missing dominance in some categories, bruh, you lose. So him talking about all of this good stuff he can provide and all this other stuff and blah blah blah. And hey, look, man, they want the whole thing. They want fantasy man. You know what I call him before? Frankenstein man. It's
Right.
literally an amalgamation of all of their fantasies, and they put it together in one superhuman that you can never compete with. So even if you're holding it down in all of these categories, the thought in the mind of not everybody's perfect, but this guy's doing a hell of a job. Yeah, he's missing this and that because nobody's perfect, but all of these other bases are covered. I got to catch. That's not the logic. The logic goes, if you want to call it that, I'm not getting enough attention. We're not doing enough this. I don't feel special enough. I don't whoop de whoop de yop de yops. And then now you're down the rabbit hole of whatever. So he can say all of these things, but truth be told, bro, while you out here on your mission, man, just work on dominance and just work on uh, getting yourself right out here. It'll do you well instead of investing your time and emotions in situations where it's not going to be necessarily appreciated. So for him saying these things where it's like, hey, the guys are doing all this work, but she's still saying she needs X amount of this, X amount of that. It's like, hey, at the end of the day, what can you do but to work on yourself? So while you're working on yourself, you can do this in a relationship or whatever. But the key is you got to dominate. Like you literally got to go out there and dunk on them all the time. Put it this way, man. Part of the domination scale is financial, and the other parts is, sexual for sure. And if you're not pushing those buttons in there dominantly, she knows there's more dominant action out there. Hey, man, put it to the test. She's freaky, man. Even the nice calm ones. And they're looking to get pushed over that edge sexually, and that requires a dominant action. They be wanting some wild stuff, man. And if you never push that envelope, she's gonna be like, eh. So you gotta be sexually dominant in this world. You gotta be sexually dominant, financially dominant, and all this other stuff, just for them to feel like, hey, they got themselves a catch. So, hey, man, I wish it was another thing going on. I wish people saw people for who they were, and then people, people can just love each other knowing that each party is not perfect. I wish that could be a thing, but unfortunately, if you're a male in North America, you have to be Superman. You got to be super sensitive yet super stern. You know, all the contradictions, man. And but I say this is my last thing. I'll say this: dominate, fellas. Put up those triple doubles.
Yeah. Shouts out to DJ Cash D. He's on the chat. He says a lot of these women want a man with money so that they don't have to spend theirs. Um, yeah, I agree. I do think that they would rather spend your money instead of theirs, but I also think that innately, um, on like a cerebral level, they interpret being able to spend another man's money as a form of domination. They interpret that as like some sort of quasi form of masculinity. So for a lot of women, whatever they interpret as masculine, they're going to gravitate towards that, even if it's a warped, inaccurate form of masculinity. The fact is, they perceive it as masculine, so they're going to just simply be more attracted to that. So, I kind of feel like these sentiments are nice. That's why I said it's sweet. I just don't know how practical it is because at the end of the day, there's always going to be a
It's not.
comparison that takes place. And if she is able to look at another option as superior in these respects, and this is just me, and
That's what I'm saying.
maybe I've become cynical and jaded when it comes to my viewpoint on this, but I kind of feel like
No.
okay, I don't think I am, but sometimes I like to kind of give reason the benefit of the doubt. And I kind of feel like all of that connection stuff is cool, but they will take a lesser connection, but more of those other things before they take a stronger connection, but a guy who's not tall, who can't defend himself, who isn't strong, or all of these other things that they say that they like. So it is incumbent upon most men to just kind of adhere to that. And you've spoken on this before, and I'm also inclined to agree with this as well. Like, dudes got to be strategic with how they choose their women. Like, if you know that you are 30 to $40,000 a year guy, you got to get with woman who's 25 to $35,000 a year woman. Like, you being 30 to 40K a year guy and you're getting with 75K a year woman, that's the likelihood of it lasting is not high. It is
No.
not. And it doesn't, your connection can be real strong and sustainable, and she can really love you for who you are as a person. But at the end of the day, she's out earning you to such a large degree that she is going to be wondering whether there is better out there for her. It just is what it is. So I think what he's saying is cool, but I don't know how practical it is, like I said. And it's easy for him to say that when he's already a top 10% person. Like, um, you know, I don't really hear too many sub top 10% men talking like this. But, you know, I guess
Hey
it's cool
man.
that he's trying to encourage the masses, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, again, just dominate, fellas. Just dominate.
You know?
And if your money ain't right, you got to be dominating everywhere else, bro. And like I said, man, she nasty, bro. Push those buttons. No, because push those
Uh,
buttons, because that's their whole shtick, is an excuse to do all the nasty stuff they want to do. But they're not gonna come out and say it. So they just want somebody to literally press that button so the fun can come out. And I'm telling you, if you don't have if you're not dominant in the process, you know what I'm saying? If you wanted a new age, legs up in the air guys, you know, that's not the move. So you really have to assert dominance and masculinity on them at all times. So the bedroom is a good example. That's why I'm bringing that up, because trust me, you know what I'm saying? They'll take it there if you take it there on the dominant stuff. And so they put everything in buckets and categories, and they just be checking stuff off the list. Is he dominant here, dominant, dominant? And just like you said, this is tying in. Yeah, man, find the scales, bro. Like, y'all both making the same kind of salary. That's iffy. You gotta make a look. You gotta make more, man. You gotta make more. And if you ain't there, That's when you're working on your self mastery, getting yourself right, so you can put yourself in a position so you're in a better pool of income, so you can make better moves. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, work on yourselves and and dominate. And Mamba, man, just Mamba it.
We could also have a longer form conversation on why it is that women are out earning men, because he's right. I've mentioned that before, and if you look up any current business model statistic, it shows that women are rapidly outpacing men in terms of salary and career opportunity. There's a longer form conversation to be had as to why that is taking place, because
That's
there's a
yeah,
reason for that, and it has contributed to some of this difficulty. But that's a conversation for another day. So,
yeah. Damn.
uh, good luck out there, men. Write your mission statements out. Don't listen to any of the current social dialogue that is trying to convince you that not being a man is the right way to go. So,
Yep. Take it strong to the basket. Dunk on them every time. Every time.